What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be reviewing Sports Illustrated's brand new 2-round NFL mock draft. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun YouTube jazz. Links are down below my face for plenty of awesome stuff exclusive to the show, including right below my face is my board. So feel free to rip that apart because, hey, you know what? It's fun to put it right there. That way that y'all can at least see everything that I have to offer without me having to say every single thing. It's complete transparency, or is like transparency is, whatever. We don't need to talk about Southwest right now. It's like PTSD. I don't like airports, but let's get right into this. This is going to be the week 5 draft order. Y'all know what's up. Bears, I assume there's going to be no trades in this. This is a live reaction as well. Bears end up taking Caleb Williams #1 overall based on the fact that it's, the current draft order. You will be seeing the Bears have the #1 and #2 selections. So, again, if you are assuming that the Bears end up as the second worst team in the NFL, Caleb Williams is going to be the pick. It is. It means that Justin would have regressed. It's not good. Justin right now is not playing at the pace to get this team the #2 pick, maybe the #10, maybe the #12 pick. So, if he continues to perform well, they're not going to end up here. This is just the current draft order, so we're going to assume that at the end of the year, the Bears are still the second worst team. I think the Caleb Williams pick would be great. Send him to a team that would use Justin Fields properly in this instance. I assume that the front office is going to be absolutely yeeted, and then we're going to have to replace him with some good guys. Maybe Caleb Williams will be in on that process. Bears also go Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel like I'm going ad nauseum by talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. Still one of the best players at his position that I've ever studied, so we'll just leave it there. Broncos going Olu Fashanu. I started doing this pick a while ago. Switched up to Kool-Aid McKinstry here and there because I think they could kind of use both. But Olu Fashanu is awesome. Again, one of those guys who's improved his consistency, has worked in the offseason, is just overall a much better player this year than the good player he was last year. He showed lots of flashes last year. Now he's showing the consistency. Spectacular player. One of the best left tackles that I've seen. And honestly, just those movement skills are super unique. Do I think that he's a guaranteed home run hit? Absolutely not. He has some anchor concerns for those of y'all who are wondering what anchoring means. Basically, are you going to be pushed back or are you going to hold your ground? Is your anchor, like a boat anchor, going to be able to hold your ground, hold your position? Olu has a big issue with that. That's honestly his #1 concern by a long shot. And it was my issue with him last year. It was my issue with Charles Cross too, to be fair. So I'm not a huge fan of tackles that have anchor concerns, but we'll see what happens. I mean, he's gotten better and better, so it's not a major issue, but it is his biggest. Vikings, Drake May is my dream. This is my dream location for him, so big fan of it. We'll see if the Vikings end up at that spot because they are still extremely talented. Patriots going Shadur. Now that's intriguing. If the Patriots are here, I don't think quarterback's off their mind, but I just don't know if Bill's going to take a first-round QB. I mean, when's the last time Bill took a first-round QB? Dumbass. When was the last time? Oh, the quarterback they have right now. It's not going too well, to be fair. But I do feel like the Patriots have much bigger fish to fry than just the QB position. QB3 is not worth it at this moment. Like, I would not go QB3 at pick 5. I don't think the QB class is, 1, that top heavy, so you can get similar value down the board. But 2, I don't think the top, apart from maybe the top 2, and I still have Joe Milton up in that territory. But, if Drake May continues to progress the way he has, because he's coming off a red-hot week, then he will end up being the #2 for sure. Like, again, he's tied #3 right now with Bo Nix, and I love Bo more than 99% of people. So, again, not a slander at Drake, just more of a, telling you how much I love Bo. I just don't think this is necessary. I don't. There's some really talented players that are still on the board at a multitude of positions. Get Brock Bowers for all I care. And go for a QB. Trade up for one at the end of round 1. If you really want a round 1 QB, you could probably end up getting Bo Nix, Michael Penix there. So there's just better value. Shadur still, he's my #5 quarterback coming into the year. I'm not going to shame him. He's a good QB. But he still needs development. I don't think the NFL teams are going to take him completely seriously until they see a full year's resume and then see how he performs in the second year in Power 5. But still showing great signs, very good positive signs. We got the New York Giants going Leatu Latu. One of the few positions I don't think I would ever target for the Giants is edge rusher at this point. Edge class extremely deep. If you really want to go edge rusher, do it later. There's still right tackles on the board. Talise Fuaga, for example, Amarius Mims. Ship Evan Neal off. Honestly, give him a start somewhere where you can start at left tackle. Like, it's kind of embarrassing at this point to the fact that they have not understood that Evan Neal is just not capable of playing right tackle in the NFL, and that's fine. He looked ass. I remember, so the first time I ever watched him, the first time coming into the 2023 draft year, so a little bit over a year ago, I remember messaging Brosmo and saying, or maybe it was the 2022 draft. So 2 years ago, I ended up messaging Brosmo saying, like, dude, straight up, this guy's worse than Alex Leatherwood. And I watched him progress over the year, and he ended up progressing a lot. So I ended up really liking him. He moves to left tackle, continues to get better. And he ended up being my number 2 player in the draft. Or, yeah, no, because Sauce Gardner was 1 that year. And that's him at left tackle. The thing is, he was not NFL ready at right tackle. The Giants took him and put him at right tackle. I'm like, hey, he has experience there. It's a good idea. But you already have a superstar at left tackle. If it didn't work, you're stuck. And that's where y'all are at right now. So I really hope y'all can switch him back, or not switch him back, but send him to a place that can, because I really do think he's going to have a career resurgence. But edge rusher, not the position I would target for this team. Wide receiver, I would go after Brock Bowers potentially. Again, right tackle. There's just much better positions to go than this. I mean, you could literally get really good value. We'll look in round 2 at the guys who are still available. Carl's going Jared Verse. Another one of those positions I don't think is super pressing. When you have top-tier corners and top-tier interior defensive linemen, those are the 2 positions that are the creme de la creme for this team. I don't get it. Jared Verse is still spectacular. Don't get me wrong. I mean, hell, he's here on my board. I don't need to say it. But the Cardinals, they have pieces in their edge rushing group. Jared Verse is not going to make them worse, but there's just positions that would be a lot more impactful. Then you got the Packers going Joe Alt. I just did this yesterday, or 2 days ago, so feel free to check out those mock drafts. Yeah, I'm fine with it. He left 3 pressures this past week, which is weird, but I do think he can bounce back from that. Raiders going Jerzon Newton. Defensive interior is a big position of need for them. They have yet to solve it, so putting Johnny Newton in there, never a bad idea. I am in full support of that. Cardinals then going Kool-Aid McKinstry, so just talked about it. I would have gone Jerzon Newton and Kool-Aid McKinstry. That's just the way I would have rocked it. But, at least you got Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid and Verse, I'm pretty happy with it anyways. I'd probably give it an A- because, depends on what they do in the later days in terms of defensive interior. But, Jared Verse still spectacular. You're getting kind of BPA at this point. Jets going J.C. Latham, AVT. Should not be a right tackle for the long run. He can fill in, awesome, but I want him to stay on the interior. I think J.C. Latham, as long as he doesn't give up early on reps, which he's been doing, is going to be a great addition. The talent's there. The production, honestly, is there. He just gives up too early. He just stops blocking. It's not like he stops, playing well. He just stops it all, entirely. He just stops. It's weird. Pick number 12, Washington Commanders, going Dallas Turner. They need edge rush help in terms of, depth. I mean, their depth is crap. No disrespect to the guys there. But more importantly, Chase Young's going to be up for a contract. Montez Sweat's going to be wanting some money. There's some legitimate holes that will be popping up here. I don't think Dallas Turner fits the physical profile unless Montez Sweat's going to bail of the edge rusher that they're going to be looking for. I would be looking for more of one with size. Again, I usually point towards Braylon Trice in that instance, JT Tuimoloau. Those guys are a little bit more up that alley. But if they end up going this route, I'm absolutely going to support it because, Dallas Turner is my number 1 edge rusher. But still, just got to put that out there. Titans then going Brock Bowers. He should have gone way before this. There's no need for me to mention that. But, this team, one of the few things it doesn't need really is a tight end. But I assume they'll just use him everywhere. So sometimes you just got to go the best player available and figure out how to use him properly. Bengals going Malik Neighbors. Intriguing. I feel like that's an overlap of role with Jamar Chase. And I think Malik Neighbors is just the significantly worse version of Jamar Chase. And that's not just because of LSU. Play style wise, Malik Neighbors is just pretty much everything Jamar Chase is, but worse. So I don't feel like he replaces the T. Higgins role very well. If you want a T. Higgins role to be replaced, go Keon Coleman. That's a better one for that role. Go Johnny Wilson. That's a better one for that role. Malik Neighbors is much more, in case you didn't have Jamar Chase, that's a role that he could fill. Los Angeles Rams going Chop. Not going to blame him at all. I like to go edge rusher for the Rams. Chop Robinson has flashed some incredible potential. And if Aaron Donald stays there, I'm scared shitless. So, definitely a very solid landing spot for Chop. There's not many of them that are going to maximize the potential. This could be one of them. So, full support. Full support. You got the Chargers then going Kalen King. Yeah, without J.C. Jackson, that was a complete shit show. But, you guys definitely should be in the market for another corner, top tier corner, Kalen King. He is clearly the number 2 corner. Very excited for him to go and kick some butt. Texans going Romo Dunze. It's one of the few positions I don't really think they fully need. There's a lot of chemistry already there. Also, I don't know why we go Romo Dunze when we could get essentially a very similar, not the same, similar build with Emeka Ibuka and have instant synergy with CJ Stroud. I don't get it. If you want to go wide receiver, that makes sense. So a little bit mind blown on that one. Don't really get it. Romo Dunze, still waiting for more All-22 tape before I finalize my opinion on him. Saints going Graham Barton. They just ended up re-signing Cesar Ruiz. Don't really think, the Saints are kind of allergic to getting good offensive linemen at this point with Trevor Penning, Cesar Ruiz, and such. I don't think that Graham Barton would be where they would lean in this situation. You need some good DBs. You need to be able to get some more weapons potentially. Not really, but, it is the best value, with Emeka Ibuka at this point. Then you got the Falcons going. J.J. McCarthy operates the offense very, very well. I like to go Bo Nix, but literally J.J. McCarthy can operate it at an equal efficiency. Maybe a little bit worse efficiency, maybe higher upside. But, I think this is a very, very good pick. I do. I'm not even the biggest guy on J.J. McCarthy, and I still think it's a really good pick. Colts then going Cooper DeJean. Yeah, they need help everywhere. He will find his role. I'm perfectly happy with that pick. Bills going Keon Coleman. I thought it was Trey Benson for a second. I'm fine with this one too. He fits a really good role and one that's not really filled on the Bills. So I would love to see him in those 50-50 balls from Josh, being able to snag it and moss some dudes. You got the Cowboys, Emeka Ibuka. They're not even able to really get Brandon Cooks into the lineup right now and perform well. There are rumors that CeeDee Lamb could be on his way out. Very, very faint rumors. Not going to say they're true, but if he does, then obviously it's a great pick. I still would support it because you're getting an amazing player at a very valuable position, but there's a lot bigger issues on this team, in my opinion. You got the Ravens then going after Nate Wiggins. Corner is a great idea for them, and I feel like Nate Wiggins could work here. The only issue is he doesn't stand his ground very well versus bigger, more physical wide receivers, i.e. Johnny Wilson. And in the AFC North, that doesn't really fly. So a little bit worried about that for sure. You got the Seattle Seahawks going Leonard Taylor. Full support of this one. Do it myself. I would do it in a heartbeat if he were here. One of the best players when he's at 100% on the field in the game. Then you got the Steelers going Barrett Carter. We need linebacker help, so I'm not going to complain about this one. I feel like with the star right tackle still on the board, probably going to be the way that I lean. I'll scroll down a little bit so y'all can see a little bit more of the board as well. But I'm not going to be too mad at this. He's still very undersized, but, at least we get something in the linebacker room. Jaguars going Mason Smith. He is freaky, and he put on 15 pounds of, pure muscle. So very excited to see what he can do. Don't think the Jaguars necessarily need defensive interior as much as a first-round pick would suggest, but he's a freaky dude. Sometimes it's good to take the high upside player, like you did at number 1 overall with Trevon Walker. And people think he's a bust. Everybody knew he'd be a project, so I don't know. Buccaneers going Chris Braswell. So yesterday just talked about, well, technically earlier today for me, just talked about him in the stock up video. He is spectacular. Literally said that he is just a slightly worse version of Dallas Turner. He's awesome. He is a really fun player. Very happy he is included in this. Now, I'm not ready to crown him as a first-round player, but he's been producing like one. So I haven't fully graded him. That's why I cannot make any official claims here, but this dude pops off on tape. So I'm very excited to see if he's able to make an ascension because he is very, very good. Pick number 28, the Detroit Lions going Denzel Burke, going back to Ohio State for a corner. I avoid it for my Lions fans having PTSD. I would lean Chris Jenkins here, but I'm not going to shame if they go Denzel Burke. I would go Dwight McLaughlin as well. Miami Dolphins going Amarius Mims. We've seen the ascension of Austin Jackson, but at the same time, this is BPA. So, I mean, I think that it's not a bad idea at all. Philadelphia Eagles, Cameron Kitchens. It's pretty much you're going to replace Ed Reed Blankenship with a better version of Ed Reed Blankenship. Not going to complain too much about that at all. You got the Chiefs then going Patrick. Oh, dude, this guy is not good. I watched him last year. He is not good. I got to watch his tape this year because some people are still on that Kool-Aid, and maybe it's just me just not being up to date. But this guy was absolute butt cheeks last year. And people say he performed well versus Tyree Wilson. He didn't. I watched that game. Every snap of that game. He did not perform well. I don't know what people... Dude, I need to find out who these people's drug dealers are because they're giving him some good stuff. Niners then going Kingsley Sua-Mataea. I'm a big fan of this one. He is left tackle and right tackle versatility. Played well at both. He's been getting better and better at left tackle. So he was already kind of worth a fringe first-round pick as a right tackle. Now he's a left, and he's starting to be worth that as well, which kind of adds to his value for sure. Very excited to see what he will do. Then we got Quinn Ewers starting off the second round. What? Why would you put a picture of Quinn Ewers? I just got catfished. Okay, regardless, Braylon Trice to the Panthers. Very good value. Very good value for a top-tier edge rusher. And this team could use it. I would go after a wide receiver as well, but it is what it is. Saints going Riley Leonard has no form of upside whatsoever to be worth the number 34 overall pick for a team like the Saints. He'd be operating equivalently to Derek Carr at best. I'm not against Riley Leonard by any stretch, but I'm a realist with Riley Leonard. I would take him early day 3 because he's a really good runner. He has a weaker arm, and they already kind of have that on their roster, but that's okay. But Riley Leonard's a good game manager. This team needs somebody with a little bit more juice. Honestly, I'd just keep Jameis Winston at that point. Minnesota Vikings going Kamari Lassiter. I think this team needs help in the secondary. I'm going to be fine with that. And he has crazy speed, so you can keep up with guys. Well, if the numbers are correct, guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. in your division. Then we had the New England Patriots going Troy Franklin, so quarterback and wide receiver. Those are two of the biggest positions to target, and they got good value at wide receiver at this pick. Giants going Xavier Legette. I'd prefer to go after Johnny Wilson, but I perfectly understand. 6'3", 227. I believe he was a former tight end as well. So just a dude who's freakish after the catch. Very excited to see what he can do in the NFL. Probably would take him round 3, maybe later round 2. But, still a very fun player to watch. Cardinals going Troy Fautanu. I love that. Keeping him in that Pac-12 region. They've been able to see him up close. I think they played Arizona this year in Arizona too. So I'm sure the Cardinals staff were able to go and watch Troy Fautanu up close. And this dude's a feisty blocker. Very excited for him to go to the next level, especially on the interior of the offensive line. But he does have tackle versatility. Bears going JT Tuimoloau. I thought I was the hater. Apparently not. He keeps falling down people's boards, which is surprising because he keeps rising up mine. I guess we're all just going to find a middle ground that we're nice and comfortable with. Raiders then going Quinn Ewers. He will need to continue dropping down my board, but still good value. At least you're taking a shot on a high upside quarterback. I don't like his deep ball, but you have receivers that I don't necessarily think need to be deep threats. Texas going Chris Jenkins. This guy's a Texans fan. I have that feeling he's a Texans fan. Force this one down the board, but excellent selection. Tyler Nubin for the Packers, an A+ move as well. You got Jordan Morgan for the Commanders, solid veteran. I don't necessarily think he's a second-round player, but we are very limited on left tackles in this draft. You got Cooper Beebe for the Titans. No. Why go interior offensive line at this point? That doesn't make sense. If you're going to try to get offensive line help, go for Evan Neal, like I did in my past mock draft. I think that's the best idea you can do for the Titans. You had the Bengals going Zach Zinter. I think that just boosting the offensive line for the Bengals regardless is great. Of course, I go to Talise Fuaga, but that's because he's my number 1 player or number 3 player in the draft. Then we have the Rams going Bo Nix. I think he can operate the offense very, very well. He's kind of a better version of Stetson Bennett in every way, shape, and form. So honestly, it's a pick I've never thought about, but it's a very good one nonetheless. You got Rook for the Packers. I would go running back at this spot. Y'all know what's up. So Rook's still very good value, though, nonetheless. Very talented player, top tier edge rusher, and defensive interior guy. So he's a good tweener. Then we got Jack Sawyer. Way too much development needed on this guy, and he's not taking big steps up. So I just got to put that out there. But, Brown's getting extra edge rusher help. I'm not going to knock it. Then we got Brandon Dorless for the Chargers. Defensive interior help is always a benefit for the Chargers. So I'm in full support of that. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., one of my favorite picks for the Eagles because obviously his dad played there. So you're getting some good legacy and you're getting a good player. Colts getting Kalen Bullock. So you're getting pretty much two safeties. I know they classify Cooper DeJean as a corner, but he's a safety. Even if it does end up being two safeties, you're getting two top-tier safeties that are very complementary. Andrew Makuba for the Bills. I think defensive back's not a bad idea. I'm perfectly in support of it. I just don't know if I trust Andrew Makuba as a second-round pick. Then you got Josh Newton for the Cowboys right down the road, literally 15 minutes from Arlington. They're going to see him quite a bit. I think that's a very likely selection for him. Michael Hall for the Ravens. I think they might want to go for someone with a little bit more size, but nonetheless, still a very talented player. I have him as a third-round pick. People who think I hate Michael Hall are absolute morons. I don't. I literally just didn't like him as a top 15 pick. That's it. Just get your head out of the gutter. Regardless, Kalen Carson, a corner 2 for the Falcons, is an excellent move, and you get to stay with somebody more close to that East Coast. Seahawks, Michael Penix Jr. should be taken earlier, probably slides because of injuries or injury history. And then this is still an excellent move. I honestly like Cam Ward a little bit more for the Seahawks, though, because of his mobility, but not going to shame Michael Penix. Xavier Worthy for the Jaguars feels a little bit too much of an overlap with, Christian Kirk. I'd rather go after A.D. Mitchell if you're going for a receiver from Texas and have him compete with Zay Jones, even though Zay's been doing a good job. Tyleik Williams for the Steelers is excellent value. Again, still think we should go right tackle, but I'm going to take it. Then we got Cedric Van Pran for the Buccaneers. I don't think that they need interior offensive line that badly. I'd prefer, again, to go right tackle for them. I'd go wide receiver for them. I'd go quarterback for them. There's a lot of other positions I go. So we'll leave it right there. Tavondre Sweat for the Lions is an excellent value pick. If you don't go defensive interior in the first, this is a great selection. My dream fit for Jatavian Sanders is going to be the Dolphins, so glad they select him there. A.D. Mitchell for the Eagles. Honestly, it's not a bad idea. I'd prefer to get a deep threat personally to just replace Quez, but you're not going to be mad if you get A.D. Mitchell. Johnny Wilson goes to the Chiefs. I would lose my shit as my number 5 overall player. Him ending up going there and competing is ridiculous. Super excited if that does end up happening. And then we ended off with Javon Bullard going to the Niners, slot corner / safety out of Georgia. I think defensive back's not a bad idea at all for the Niners. Maybe I would go and look at the guys who are still available. Of course, I go Talise Fuaga, but keeping that out of the realm. I know we ended up getting Kingsley Suamataia earlier. I go Dwight McLaughlin, get another corner. So that is going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching and supporting as always. See you on the far side.